Hello and welcome to Policy and Politics with me, Tarun Nangia. Today, the show topic is Duties of a Citizen for Vikasit Bharat in our series titled Bharat Ki Soch. And my guest is somebody who is widely popular, is charming yet assertive, and can speak her mind. She's somebody who has held eminent positions like the MOS, which is the Minister of State for External Affairs, and also she was the Minister of State for the Ministry of Culture. She also has been elected to the Lok Sabha twice. So a two-term MP, two different ministries handled by her. She's an accomplished lawyer. A lot of people would know her as a lawyer, and has defended the Bharatiya Janata Party on many occasions, on many issues over all these years. And today she joins us on the show. I want to welcome Mrs. Meenakshi Lekhi. Good to see you. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
When I say duties of a citizen for Vikasit Bharat, what things come to your mind? Like, if you can just say in 2 minutes, just as could be anything, but I want to hear from you.
No, Viksit Bharat is transforming the present state and transforming whichever interest, whatever interests anyone, you could work towards that. But more than anything else, there are some common things which we all need to do. For example, respecting our constitution, national emblem, flag, national anthem, Rashtriya Gan, Rashtriya Geet, both. So these are something there can be no debate about. I feel these are things which define what India is, because no country can exist without its symbols. And if you disrespect the symbol, you disrespect the country. And since you disrespect the country, you have no business of getting the benefits from that country.
You know what, in your small statement, you have said a very big thing. Why big thing? Because on these very issues, some people have opposed.
I know.
And that's why you chose to make it your opening statement.
Absolutely. I mean, India means what? Can India mean anything without what my national emblem is? Can India mean anything without the tricolor? Can India mean anything once we have chosen a call for national integration through Rashtriya Geet or Rashtriya Gan, either of the two? Does India define itself? India is defined by these aspects. These are symbolic, but these are very, very strong symbols. You can't defy these symbols, and nobody dare defy them. So this is the basic duty of being a citizen. And I think from this very duty comes every other duty. Like, if I love my country, if I have deep relationship with my country, then comes what all correction you need around that geography.
I want to ask you something that if you look at the Angus Madison study, which studied the world economies for the past 1,000 years or
2000.
So. Yeah, it said that till about the 17th century, India was the richest country in the world by share of GDP, which pegged it about 25%. Then, of course, we went downhill, and today, if I'm not wrong, we are at about 2%. So if that is true, then what all we need to do to take it back to 10 or 12%? What are the duties of a citizen in order to ensure that we as a nation should be able to get to 10%?
I don't think we are 2% now. We are far more.
Yeah.
So if I remember it right, Angus Madison study was for more than 2,000 years.
Yes.
And this was OPAC which told him to do so.
Yes.
And then he came up that how the money was flowing, basically.
Yes.
The trade was flowing, the money was flowing. So for almost 2,000 years, India was dominating the global economy.
Which is quite a big thing to hear for many Indians today.
And the statement I'm going to make is going to further surprise many of your viewers. And it's interesting to know that point of view.
Yes.
So suddenly in the 15th century onwards, the degrades start to happen.
15th.
So which means with the invasions and all, our economy went to come down. From 32% it became 28%, 26%, whatever. And suddenly for 100 years, during the 14th or the 15th century, China took over.
Okay.
And after 100 years, we again recovered and came to about 18% in the 17th, 18th century. 19th, 20th century, imagine you're still 18% with all the wrong things. 1904, we became 4% or 2%. And if you study the history back, 1892 onwards, 1892 to around that period, uh, 20 million and above people died in India.
20 million.
And this was the time when, because of drought, for all kinds of things, wars, punishments, so many Indians died. And this was the time, and if we look at the past 200 years, 16th, 17th century, Europe used to fight amongst themselves a lot. A lot of wars happened during that period. It was a bloody moment. Then the entire history of 200 years, only 500,000 people had died. So you just expose these two things, you would know that how brutal and cruel the conditions would have been, that so many people lost life, so many people got impoverished. The slavery on the face of it had been abolished, but so many of our people in those impoverished conditions, the Neel Satyagraha to Champaran to everything else, people were forced to leave their land and go outside to find some bread and butter for their family and travel to Caribbeans, to wherever, under the Girmitias agreement, which they wouldn't even be able to read what's written. So this is how injustice was done to this country, and people don't know much about this. And from 2% at that time, including our, I think, 1947 when we got freedom, a country which worked towards knowledge systems until 1832 and all. Macaulay said that you need to destroy their education system, otherwise we can't control them and all that. Macaulay minutes, they are all available. Our education percentage of literate people was only about 8% or 6% of women and 12% of men. From there to where? So your economy is low, you're not getting educated, you are given a dominion status, though we call it freedom, all those wrongs, and then from 47 onwards you start building your country. So what would have been the challenges, what had been the challenges even in recent past is for all to discover.
See, one thing in the recent past has been a lot of focus, if you look at the Bharatiya Janata Party, of which you are a significant leader and been a minister, is about national pride.
Sure.
And they always speak on national pride. Why, in your view, it is so important to instill national pride in the population? Secondly, you are a woman and your party always speaks about the country as Bharat Mata, like the mother. And what, in your view, is the contribution of women in this society in terms of, I'm not talking of at home, but at outside, like somebody like you, who's a very well-known lawyer, but then chose politics and excelled and became a minister. So, do you think all of this converges somewhere? The thinking of the party vis-a-vis women, and also the whole stress on national pride. For example, the Kumbh Mela, where we saw for the first time even the biggest of industrialists, which in earlier times, I don't think we had seen so many going, or maybe there was no social media if I'm wrong those days, but I don't think it was so popular in terms of the class of people this time we saw from all over India. Would you want to reflect on all of these issues?
So according to me, pride amongst the people is so important because we, the people, make this country.
Okay.
We are the sovereign.
Yes.
If we have chosen a democratic constitution, uh, can this country exist or any country exist without its people?
Yes.
And people who don't know their own history, those who don't know their history will be demotivated
Okay.
and will not work towards the well-being of the nation or the other. So there has to be a higher moral ground to know who we were and who we are. So sometimes you got controlled by people who had a very superficial history. So I normally would say, not as a matter of pride or mocking or something, but just to bring the perspective forward. Okay, how old is the Western history? How long can you trace it? What is the oldest parchment paper which you can find? Where is the oldest Shila Lake you can find? And everything is coming out of this country because it is one of the oldest civilization. Now people have started saying one of the oldest, so I'm replicating that, but I could go to the extent of saying the oldest civilization. But that the oldest civilization got studied by others, which they brought it under Orientalism, Oriental history, etc., etc. So before, while taking control over us, enslaving us, they studied us. They put in their best. Even today, in the best of the universities and in the best of the libraries, whole lot of Indian literature is lying. They study Sanskrit. We gave up Sanskrit. They studied Ayurveda. We called it voodoo. They studied architecture. We have copied their architecture. So the mistakes we have made is because we've had a history of enslavement over a long period of time. We gave up our religious practices because we thought this is unbecoming of us. We gave up our language because we thought, oh, this knowledge or this language is worthless. What do you do after this? We gave up our cultural methodologies because we thought, oh, I will not adjust and it'll be hard for me to accommodate with others. Now, from that sense to the sense that, look, you need to study yourself, your past. Not everything may be right, but you need to at least know. And I have this saying about that before you start criticizing anything, at least read it. You don't read it, you don't draw the timeline, you know nothing about your culture, and you start replicating blindly. On women, because this question was related to women in your approach. On women, I'll just give you a very short comparison. The short comparison is the whole lot of abuses that is tuned all around is about Manusmriti, saying as if Manusmriti is the law and nothing else existed. Now, amongst the Manusmriti itself records what constitutes the law. You know what it says? It says all the laws come from Vedas.
Is it? Okay.
Yes, that's the first shlok. And because of my poor knowledge of Sanskrit, because I studied Sanskrit only till class 10, I have no regrets in life except this regret, I should have studied Sanskrit in great detail. So the shlok says, I can't recite, but I can read. It says that all the laws come from Vedas. Vedas are followed by Dharma Shastras. Manusmriti is nothing but Dharma Shastra. Smritis, which is memory. And there is also something called Vismriti. Vismriti is insanity. And then followed by other books. The conduct of a sadhu. Sadhu is not like you wear a bhagwa, you become a sadhu. That's not just sadhu. Sadhu are the ideal people in the society, like professors, teachers, the great people of the society, their conduct, and then your own conscience. That is what makes a law. This is the first shlok. And the time frame that we are talking about, the time frame that we are talking about is few thousand BC. Tell me which law existed at that time.
So you mean India had one of the first codified laws in the world for that time?
Not only that, this is not the only law. There are 18 smritis which people don't know. Manusmriti is just one smriti. Along with it is Yajnavalakya. Along with it is Gautam. Along with it is Atri. Along with it is plentiful. These are all rishis of their time and their frame who collected the memories of people. And this Manusmriti, because you talk about Manusmriti, that's why I'm focusing on Manusmriti. Manusmriti gives a list of cases which can be filed in the court. You know what are those cases? They could be cases regarding assault. They could be cases with false sale deed. They could be cases relating to debt. They could be cases relating to labor law, that the worker who worked for you, you've not paid adequately, the worker-employer-employee relationship. The cases could be matrimonial. You know, it's a partition, trading, weights and measures. So it's a list of cases which can be filed. How much has our society changed? Now tell me that. You're a practicing lawyer. And these are the cases we are litigating today about.
Correct.
So at that time, your social organization was so deep that you're describing the kind of cases which exist.
Correct.
And in terms of legal rights of women, it talks about the property which is held by a woman. The property which is held by a woman is recognized. The Stridhan is recognized. The gifts she receives during her marriage or before are hers, which can be inherited only through her will. And in her absence, through the matrilineal lineage. This is all described. The types of marriages, 6 types of marriages are described.
6 types?
Yeah. So, the most purest form of marriage, that the two families come together, the two individuals come together. Little different marriage where the two individuals come together, not necessarily the families come together, Vedic, etc. Then there is one where two people just get married, which is Gandharva, that the two without any witness, nothing, they've just decided to get married. Then you've picked, and now very interestingly, women are taken away, and then you're married. Bhaga ke shadi karna is Asurik marriage.
Okay.
You're not supposed to do that. But since it has happened and there is a child out of it, the child needs to be recognized. If you don't recognize the marriage, the child does not get the recognition. His or her succession. Then forced marriage, forced rape, and how is that is called Peshachik marriage. How is that Peshachik marriage needs to be taken care of? In the Peshachik marriage, the woman has both Asurik and Peshachik marriage, woman has a right to walk out of the marriage immediately.
This was written 2000 years ago.
More. 2000 BC, that is 4,000, 5,000 years ago.
Correct.
This is how complex society we were living in. Just imagine. Now with that complexity of an ancient society, you call that society illiterate? You call that society worthy of being enslaved? You call that society which did not treat its women right?
Correct.
And you compare that out of context with another line somewhere else without knowing the context. And the worst thing is, what people don't know, I'll say, and not to show anybody down, just a comparison, because we inherited our laws from the British because they were our rulers. We were following that system for a couple of 100 years, 300 years, 200 years. We were working with them. So those laws are what we adopted post-independence also. But compare them with us. Till 1920, till 1904, 1906, early 1900s. A woman, 1912 I believe, a woman is not even considered an individual. So she has no right to enter into an agreement. She's not an individual. She cannot enter into an agreement. In a society where men were mostly out all the time, they were fighting battles or taking control of rest of the world, going on their armadas and shipping across the globe and not coming home for years on. A woman has to manage her family, but she has no right to enter into an agreement. For example, for the sake of say money or other needs which the family may have. She wants to rent out her property. She cannot do so because she has no right as an individual. So she is not an individual, thus cannot enter into a contract.
Oh, so
That
you have
is
not
not
given her
okay.
any agency.
No, you're not an individual. A man is an individual. You're not an individual. You have no agency to enter into an agreement. Compare this now with Manu or Yajna Valakya or Atri. Can you do that? And I would want them to do that. Then 1928 is the time when British, was it the Americans? The Americans, I think, who gave the first right. So 1928, 1932, one of the two. So Americans gave women the right to franchise and the British gave right to women for franchise. Now compare that with 1947. Women were participating in freedom struggle. 1950, the first constitution, right to franchise to all women. In an uneducated society, in a society which was a very poor society. So this society accepted the third prime minister as a woman as a prime minister. This society today accepts women as the president of India. This society accepts women as teachers, acharyas, principals, doctors. Where is scientists? India is the only country which has 48% women in STEM subjects. Nowhere in the world is this the percentage. So I think by and large, we have been judging ourselves through a lens which is not ours. So for that reason, to know our history becomes important. And for that reason, I would give credit to not just my party, but to the gods, that sometimes, the things happen because even God wants you to do well and brings the right people to the surface, the right ideas and ideals to the surface. Look, whatever wrong has happened has happened. Let's close that chapter. Let's move on and move on for the well-being of this nation first and then well-being of the world. World needs to understand all this. Everyone will benefit with a more equal society, more close society, where kindness and goodness has a place in our interactions. And that's what I would say India is all about. And BJP definitely, from the time it has come to power, and before that even as in the opposition, has made a difference to this country, has been an important part of the thought process. And this thought process has existed from before independence to post-independence in various forms. BJP formalized it in 1980.
Interesting. One final question that I want to ask you is, Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday told citizens to use less fuel, do carpooling, and a few other requests he made as citizens of India, basically duties. He said that the country is asking this of you. The Prime Minister made this appeal. And in sense of duties, what do you think that now, given the current tough times that India is facing because of war in the Middle East, of which we cannot do anything because these circumstances are beyond our control, do you think this consciousness in people is very important, that each one should sort of try to follow as much as possible, like what the Prime Minister has said, be it carpooling? It's not too much to ask for, but these are small things that, or maybe traveling abroad, he said, avoid for a year. You can travel domestically in India. He also made a request, in a sense, to stop buying gold for a year so that the country's foreign exchange doesn't go out of India. Do you think doing all these duties is very, very important at a national level? Because that message should percolate down to the lowest common denominator as every person.
Okay, so before we come to the Prime Minister's statement, we go to the background because of which PM has made this statement. And that is to do with geopolitics. So in the geopolitics, what could have India done to prevent US and Israel from attacking Iran? Nothing.
Yes.
They are sovereign nations in their own right. We could do nothing. We can't prevail one over the other. Whatever be our point of view, we are not pro-war people. We are pro-peace people by and large.
Yes.
When we can do nothing, we have to protect ourselves, protect our people. Now, I normally have spoken multiple times on this, and I said, as an elected member at one time, but as an elected government of the day, what is the duty of the government today? The duty of the government is to provide food, fuel, and fertilizer to the people of India. Now, for a whole lot of our fuel and fertilizer demand, which is connected to our food demand, is dependent on countries outside this country. The trade is impaired across. Everybody's spending capacity has come down. The supply chains have broken. The fuel which we were so dependent on other countries, 87% of our needs is dependent on other countries. And we are giving a lot of our foreign exchange for that, is coming from outside. We are still living in peace. Compare it like if you were anywhere in amongst the West Asia nations, or you were in Europe, or you were in US, wherever. You compare yourself with those surroundings, and then you see you're still peaceful, you're still
Yes,
okay. By and large, you've conducted 4 major elections. You kind of okay. You're fine within your geography. But for providing this kind of secure atmosphere, a whole lot gets out of this country in terms of foreign exchange. So when it comes to foreign exchange, India is dependent on other countries who are themselves right now going through the shock economy. Their economy is still absorbing shocks. Because they are absorbing shocks, they can't give it to you. Your own people who were working outside, who were sending remittances, are unable to do that because those countries have their own.
So it's a big problem.
It's a problem. So you are anticipating a problem.
You're preparing.
You're preparing. Okay. And that is exactly what PM has done. 3 needs. I come back. Food, which we are producing, and we are a supply chain managers for others. We are the ones who are providing food to others as well. Our own security plus whole lot of countries around us. Fuel and fertilizer. While we are working on fertilizer within the country, but whole lot of it is where we are dependent on other countries outside this country. And it's directly connected to fuel because all the fertilizer plants are fuel dependent. So meeting the needs and requirements of the wrong methods of agriculture that we have sort of made ourselves dependent on, that's a debate of another day. But fertilizer, that's why he said that work on organic kheti, because this country has 1.4 million people. Out of this 1.4 billion people, the human waste, the animal waste, we have 32% of the bovine population.
That's a big thing.
We have such a huge agricultural waste. If we process all this right, 2 things will happen. We will have organic fertilizer, we will add value to the waste, and we will have clean Bharat, Swachh Bharat. So I think we should focus on methodologies where we can create revenue from wastes and use that waste to meet our requirements of energy and fertilizer.
So you have to do a lot on this.
Again, sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka prayas. Right. So duties is where all this comes from. So all these duties, when people will perform, like Swachh Bharat is directly connected to Clean and Green India. If we go to our duty, green is G, and it talks about forest and environmental protection. It talks about, so if we bring it under that, everybody manages the organic waste. Our fertilizer need is sorted.
Yes.
If we all manage the gobar gas plants the right way, or even the sewage plants right way, we will be producing enough methane, which after scrubbing will give us enough LPG and CNG. So I think these are the areas all of us have to put our efforts together. So Prime Minister's statement needs to be seen as a preparation for the future. Because a whole lot of money that the foreign exchange that we send out is on 2 counts. 87% of our fuel needs, and gold is what the constant hunger for gold,
Yes.
is where we are spending our money on.
Thank you so much for sharing your views
Thank
with
you.
us today on Bharat Ki Soch, where we discussed about, among other things, duties of a citizen for Vikasit Bharat. Looking forward to host you again for the next show whenever we do this. But thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
So, ladies
Thank
and
you, Mr.
gentlemen,
Nangia.
that was Meenakshi Lekhi, always forthright, and she shared her views on the history of India, codified law going back as more than 2000 years ago. Also, she reflected on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's message on duties of a citizen for Vikasit Bharat. That was our topic today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so very much.